All right, welcome! Today, we're going to dive into the source material and really unpack the arguments for Cardano's future. It's a project that you'll see takes a very different path in the wild world of crypto.
So, the material we're analyzing kicks things off with this incredibly bold, almost audacious claim. I mean, that's a statement that really demands a serious explanation, right?
Okay, let's get right into it. What is the actual case behind a prediction this big? Well, the argument is really built on a few core pillars, and it all starts with the entire philosophy behind the project.
And that philosophy, it's all about taking the slow road. Seriously. Unlike so many other projects that seem to rush to market, Cardano's approach is methodical, it's deliberate, and it's deeply rooted in academia.
You see, at the absolute heart of it all is peer-reviewed research. Just think of it as the complete opposite of that move fast and break things mantra we hear all the time. Here, every single feature, every upgrade is rigorously studied, debated, and proven on paper before anyone even thinks about writing a line of code.
And this is what's so interesting. The way this slower pace is framed isn't as a bug, but as a feature. The entire thesis here is that this careful, methodical approach builds a foundation that is way more secure, way more scalable, and that's what's designed to create real long-term confidence.
So let's see how all of this academic theory actually gets built into the technology. How does this philosophy translate into a blockchain that's actually different from all the others out there?
Okay, this slide touches on one of the biggest technical differences. Now, most of the crypto world, including Ethereum, uses an account model. The easiest way to think about it is like a single bank account where your balance just goes up and down. Cardano uses something completely different called the eUTXO model. This is more like having a physical wallet that's full of individual bills and coins. Each transaction uses specific coins and then creates new ones as change. The argument is that this method makes every transaction more predictable and isolated, which is a huge deal for developers building high-stakes financial apps where you just can't afford to have errors.
And here's why that actually matters to regular users, not just the engineers. Because of this model, creating new tokens on the network is a whole lot simpler. It doesn't require these super complex smart contracts. The source argues this can bring down transaction fees and, importantly, reduce the chance of making a costly mistake.
But, of course, none of this matters if the network can't handle massive demand, right? This is the scaling challenge that every major blockchain is up against. And as the source points out, it's a problem Ethereum has famously struggled with.
Cardano's plan to solve this comes in two main parts. First, there's Hydra. It's designed to move huge numbers of transactions off the main chain to really crank up the speed. And second is Mithril, which helps all the computers on the network sync up way faster. Together, these two form the core of their strategy to future-proof the network.
So the argument then shifts from all this abstract tech to concrete applications. The source claims that Cardano's goal is utility over hype, and it points to projects that are trying to tackle tangible real-world problems. We're talking about things like creating verifiable digital identities in developing nations, tracking goods all the way from the farm to your table, or through partnerships like World Mobile, trying to bring banking to the unbanked in Africa.
And this brings us to the final piece of the puzzle. How is this network actually designed to survive and thrive all on its own without having to rely on some central company to guide it? Two things are absolutely crucial here. First, there is the treasury system. A little slice of every single transaction fee goes into a community-controlled pot of money to fund future development. And second is the upcoming Voltaire era of governance, which is going to give every single token holder a direct vote on the future of the network.
So, when you combine that research-first philosophy, the unique technology, and this self-sustaining governance model, you start to see the long-term investment thesis take shape. And a core part of that whole thesis rests on one final, very important number.
45 billion. That is the fixed, hard-capped supply of Cardano's native token, ADA. No more can ever be created. This principle, this idea of digital scarcity, is absolutely fundamental to the entire argument.
And the argument here is pretty simple economics. If you have a fixed supply of an asset and the demand for that asset grows, say because the network of powers is being used for all those real-world applications we just talked about, then the value of that asset could, in theory, increase. It's a big bet on the power of network effects. So to sum it all up, the case presented in the source isn't about quick gains or overnight hype. It's a deliberate, methodical approach in a market that is so often driven by speed and speculation. It really is a bet that slow and steady wins the race.
And that really is the provocative question this whole case leaves us with. In an industry that literally changes in the blink of an eye, is there really room for a project that measures its progress not in days, but in decades? The answer to that, well, that remains to be written.